Yeah, it's Mindset Café, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
You can't give 50% and expect 100%. That's not mindset. It's just math. Half effort, half focus, half discipline, half buy-in. Then you get mad when the results aren't what you expect, right? I mean, it's tough, but it's dumb, right? A lot of people make that worse. They get to the 4-week mark, right? For example, we're in the 11-week challenge at Strive 11 Fitness, and we just hit week 4. And so people hit week 4, or will hit the halfway mark, to a goal or to, a deadline, and they realize that they're behind, right? And mentally quit before the deadline even gets here. It's a weak mindset to have, but it's a natural mindset to have, and you can change it, because being behind is not the same as being done. The deadline is not the end until the deadline actually gets here. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mindset Cafe. It's your boy, Devin, and today I wanted to talk about effort, right, and deadlines, and what people do when they realize that they're not where they thought they'd be. And honestly, this matters in every area of life: business, fitness, sales, competitions, challenges like the 11-week challenge, on your personal goals, and just in life. Like most people... Actually, I'll stop and say, if the audio sounds kind of funny, I realize that this topic just came to mind, and I'm recording this on my phone. I just didn't want to lose this, and I wanted to kind of share it with you guys. So, bear with me on this episode. But this area, this topic really translates into any area of your life, right? And most people don't lose at the end; they lose in the middle. They lose when they look at the scoreboard too early. They panic or they get emotional, right? And they stop executing, or decide or realize that they haven't been executing, and then they don't actually start to execute. They actually downshift, right? And I want to make this simple, right? This episode isn't about one truth, right? You get out what you put in. I heard this saying in college, and it's exactly that. Like, you only get out whatever you put in. If you put in 50%, you're going to get it out 50%. You're going to get 50% of the results. You can't put in 50% effort and expect 100% of the results. It's just not logic, right? It's not logical, I should say, right? So you only get out whatever you put in, right? It's not a wish. It's not what you post. It's not a Facebook check-in. It's not what you meant to do or what you tried to do. It's what you actually put in. And if you're behind, good. Now you have information. Now you have data. Now you have a realization, sometimes a fucking slap in the face, that it's like, yo, this is where you're at. It's time to step it up. And so you have to use that, because being behind is just feedback. It's not permission to fold or throw in the towel. So today I wanted to give you guys some tips and stuff for what to do when you realize that the deadline is real, right? And that clock is moving. And I'm sure you've heard me say it before, but if the time is moving, so should you. And what to do when you're not where you need to be. So let's get into it a little bit, right? You can't cheat the inputs. Right? The inputs are basically the effort that you put in, the work that you need to do, the things that you execute on, the tasks, the meal prep, the workouts, the, business meetings, whatever the case may be, right? So here's the reality. You can't put in 50% and expect 100%, and it applies everywhere. You can't train half-assed and expect a full transformation. You can't make a few calls and expect a full pipeline of leads. You can't sleep like trash eat like trash, work inconsistently, and expect an elite output. Like, let's be real. Most people want premium results with discounted effort. It just doesn't work. If you want high level results, you need to put high level inputs in, high level effort in daily, not sometimes, not here and there, right? Daily. So here's a rule or a law essentially of life. And results are rented. And the rent is due every single day, right? Most people fall apart when the scoreboard tells them the truth. This is when people start to break, right? That's when, let's say, they start the challenge, they start the launch, the quarter, the prep, the contest, the deadline cycle. And early on, they're excited. The motivation is there. And then reality shows up. They hit week 2 or they hit week 4 or they, the halfway point, and they realize, damn, I'm not where I thought I was, or I thought I was doing better. I'm not where I should be. Whatever that thought goes across in your mind. And now the scoreboard gives you that truth of like, look, in reality, this is where you're at, and instead of using that, they get emotional, or they feel behind. They feel, whether it's embarrassed or lost or whatever the case may be, they start to check out early, right? And so if you're starting to check out early because of this, right, and maybe it's not physically, but maybe it's mental. And, once you quit in your head, though, the body will follow. Being behind is not the same as being done. I just want to make that really clear. Like, being behind, I don't care where you are on the leaderboard or on the journey to your goal. Just because you're behind does not mean that you're done. It is not the same, right? And I just want you to know that's one of the biggest points. I had a conversation with someone about this, actually a couple people, and a lot of people will treat, not ahead like it's over, right? No, like it's over when the clock runs out, when the buzzer rings, when you see the deadline actually say it is over. If you still have a week, you still have time. If you still have 4 weeks, if you still have 8 weeks, you still have time, right? Time is your leverage, but only if you use it. Only if you use the data that you've gotten and start to tweak the game plan. Most people don't lose because they're behind. They lose because they acted like they acted like being behind meant it was pointless to keep pushing. And that is the biggest mistake I can say that people fall into, that trap, right? The middle is where the separation, you'll say like, this is what separates the good from the great, or the, strong from the weak, or whatever the case. And it's usually around that midpoint, right? Because the middle is brutal, because the beginning, everyone's excited, right? But the end has urgency. And right in that middle mark, that's where the truth starts to set in. That's where the reality starts to set in for a lot of people. The middle shows where you've set your standards so far. The middle shows what you've set as habits so far. The middle shows how serious you've been taking it with the excitement in your corner. And a lot of people hate the middle because it exposes the effort that they put in. It exposes the planning or the lack of planning that they put in, right? The low effort or the poor consistency or discipline, right? So instead of adjusting, they shut down. And that's why the middle kills most people's journeys. Not because it's impossible, because it's honest. The middle is just an honest reality check. The scoreboard is not attacking you. It is informing you. And I just want to iterate like how important that is. It is not to attack you. The scoreboard on life, or on the way to your goal, or in a challenge, or whatever the case may be, that is information that you get to use, right? You should use that data and use that as motivation to push harder. The scoreboard is not there to shame you. It is only there to give you information, right? Whether it's a weight check, sales numbers, revenue, body fat, calls made, calls not made, content that you posted, leads that you've generated for your business, right? Wins, losses, whatever the case may be. The scoreboard only gives you a reality check. Those numbers are not emotional, right? That data, it has no emotion tied to it. It doesn't care what emotions you try to tie to it, because the numbers are the numbers, right? Numbers are not emotional, but you are, right? Numbers are just reporting of the effort that has been put in or not put in. So stop taking the feedback so personally and use that as your motivation. If the number is low, good. If now you know, right? If the results are weak, good. Now you can fix the inputs you've been putting in, right? The data is your direction, right? And so when you feel like you're behind, you don't need to panic. You just need to adjust the plan, or actually set a plan. And the main thing is, if you set a plan, follow the fucking plan. I can't iterate that enough. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've, talked to, whether it's business or fitness. It's like they have a game plan, and then it's like, did you execute the game plan? No. Why not? Oh, because this and that and whatever. And, and it's like, okay, well then how can you expect the results if you didn't follow the game plan? That's like putting in the directions into your GPS and not listening to the GPS, and then wondering why you're in a completely different city than you wanted to be. It's like you didn't follow the fucking directions. So you need a plan and stick to the plan, right? And so that is pivotal. When you realize that you're behind, stop panicking about it. Just set a plan. Panic will burn energy, while a plan essentially can create energy, create motivation, and create direction, right? So I want to make this simple though, right? I want to give you 3 steps, right, to hopefully hope you overcome this if this is resonating with you. Step 1 is tell the truth. Where are you really? Not where you hope to be, not where you should be, but where are you? Step 2 is find the gap, right? What number is off? What behavior has been a weak point for you? What input is missing in your daily habits, right, for you to execute? And then the final step is attack that gap, right? Whether it's more reps, more calls, whether it's better sleep, or tightening up your nutrition, or, focusing more when on a task and stop getting distracted, right? Maybe it's being more consistent in your workouts. Maybe it's actually being present during your workouts and not just going through the motions. Whatever the case may be, that's how you attack the gap. You be honest with yourself, find the missing input, and then fucking go all in on that input. And that's how you turn it around. Emotions will not help you here, I promise you. No one cares that you're sad you're not where you wanted to be, right? The hustle, the grind, it does not care that you are upset you're not where you wanted to be. It only cares for the work that you did or did not put in, right? Half in gets half out, which means half in gets half results, right? Most people hate this because it removes your excuses. But it's true. Half in gets half the results. You can't be half committed and expect a breakthrough. You can't kind of follow the plan and expect a full payout of results. You either respect the plan and respect yourself and respect the goal, or you keep negotiating with it. But you have to pick. Either get a plan, stick to the plan, or realize that you're just not that dedicated and you're happy with where you're at, which I don't accept that for you, so you shouldn't accept that for yourself. Because every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, I'll just wing it, you are voting against your own results. You are voting against your own success. And at the end, people say, I guess it just didn't work. I guess, it just wasn't for me, or I guess whatever, right? And it's like, no, the plan didn't fail. Your buy-in to executing the plan failed. Your commitment failed. Your mindset failed you, right? The deadline should create intensity, not self-pity. And I want to iterate that right there. It's like the self-pity. It's like, that's your self-pity is you. The first part of that is self, right? No one else has pity for you because you're the one that controls the effort that you put in. A deadline is not there to make you emotional. It is there to make you precise, right? When the timeline gets short, we people get dramatic. We people start to crumble. And it's like, you need to know you are stronger than that. And it's like, just because the fucking numbers aren't where you want them to be, doesn't mean you get to ball up in a corner and be like, oh, poor me. It's like, no. It's like, damn. Okay, well, good. Now I get to have the fucking comeback story of the year. Strong people get sharper when that deadline, is a reality check. Like, I have a tattoo on my arm of a diamond, and people think, see it and like, oh, that's a cool tattoo. And it's like, that tattoo is a reminder that pressure builds diamonds. So when the timeline gets short, tighten up the plan, protect your hours, right? Clean up any distractions that you have going on, right? Cut out the bullshit, cut out the nonsense, get serious about executing. Your deadline should, start to force you to focus, not create more excuses. Excuses don't help you. Excuses do nothing for you. If you're behind and you have 14 days left, you don't need to cry about it. Set a game plan for a crazy turnaround for 14 days. What can you accomplish in 14 days? That's it. Plain and simple. Urgency itself, or I'd say urgency is useful if you can control it. Urgency can help you, but only if you control it. Controlled urgency sounds something like this. I'm behind. Good. Now I know what I have to change, or what I must change, right? Uncontrolled urgency, on the other hand, would be like, I'm behind, screw it, maybe next time. Let me throw in the towel, blah, 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 blah. So one's going to help you create action. The other one's going to help you create collapse, right? And fucking let you throw in the towel. So urgency without structure becomes panic. Urgency with structure, though, becomes momentum. So if the clock is moving, don't get louder, just get clearer, get more focused. You don't need a new goal. You just maybe need a new game plan, or you just need to stick to the game plan. And this is where people start to screw up. They realize that they're behind, and then they throw in the towel, or they throw out the whole goal or the whole plan, or we're like, you know what, let me just restart. And it's dumb. You don't always need a new goal. You just need either a better game plan, or you need better discipline. Maybe the target stays, but the strategy may change. Maybe the timeline stays, but the daily executions need to change. Maybe the goal is fine, but your standards are the problem. Stop changing the destination every time the road gets difficult. Just fix the vehicle, fix the driver, or fix the path or the pace. A good plan is boring. That's why it works. I'm going to say that again. A good plan is boring. That's why it works. And that's why it's so idolized by most, and people are in awe of people that, have hit success, because they're like, man, that must have been so hard, because it fucking is. But it's not exciting. Most goals are not exciting. It might be exciting in the beginning because it's this new thing, but then once you get into the weeds of it, it is very repetitive. And that's why when you come out on the other end, it feels so rewarding, because it's difficult. A lot of people want an exciting plan the entire time. It's like, that's just not how this works, right? A lot of people want a dramatic comeback plan, and it's like, they want something sexy, they want something exciting, something that, makes them feel locked in. Usually the answer is boring, to be completely honest, right? Like, go to bed earlier, wake up on time, eat the meal plan that you have set for you, make the amount of calls that you need to make, do the reps during your workout, track your numbers, and repeat. That is it. No magic. There's no secret. There's no secret pill, right? No hack to this. It's just compliance to your game plan. Most people don't need a breakthrough. They need 14 days or 20 days or whatever the case may be of just sticking to doing what they know they need to do, right? So stop judging the game before the clock hits zero. Stop judging yourself before the clock hits zero. But this is just another mistake. People will judge the whole outcome of what they think they're going to achieve way too early, right? You might say something like, I'm not winning, at week 2 or week 4 or halfway or whatever. And it's like, relax, take a beat, right? Take a breath, right? The game's not over yet. You don't need to judge the final outcome in the middle. How many times have you watched a sports game and one team is down at the halfway point and then they come back to win, right? It's like, you don't need to judge the final outcome in the middle, just like if you were a sports team, right? You judge it at the end. You need to have discipline and build some mental, maturity in realizing that it's okay to get off track as long as you're willing to try to get back on track. I'll erase the word I said right there is try. It's like, as long as you are willing to get back on track. And that's what serious people do that you see that hit success. In the middle, don't score your story, right? Don't just run the plan. Comebacks are built on consistency, not emotion. People love comeback stories. So be the fucking comeback story. But a lot of people will misunderstand essentially how a comeback story happens, right? Comebacks are not built on hype, right? They're built on repeated execution. One clean day, then another, then another, then another. And that's how you turn around a week. That's how you turn around a month or a quarter. And that's how you close the end of your deadline hard, right? It's not just one giant emotional speech or whatever, not just one perfect Monday. It's repeated compliance to yourself and to your goal. That is the move. That is the fucking secret. Do what to do right now, though, if you feel behind. I just got to say, like, I want to make this kind of practical for you, right? If you're behind right now, you can do this. Get brutally honest with yourself, right? What is the real number? How far off are you? Be specific, right? Set a hard number. Not, I need to lose some more weight. I need to sell some more stuff. Like, hard numbers. And then pick 3 things to measure. Not 20, but just 3, right? Let's say for business, calls per day, appointments scheduled, and then dollars, cost of acquisition, something like that, right? In fitness, might be how many workouts per week, how many days did you stick to the meal plan, and then how much water did you drink, or how many hours did you sleep at night, right? And then run a short sprint of it. Just focus on the next 7 days. And then once that hits, then focus on the next 7 days and so forth. They don't need to think about the entire start to finish. Just set shorter time windows that you're going to follow the plan for this short amount of time. And then once the time expires, then you're like, I could do that again. That was only, 3 days or whatever. Stop negotiating with yourself. You are your own drama. You don't need to change the plan in the middle unless the data says so. Right? Review at the end of your sprint. So whether it is, every 3 days or every week or every, quarter, whatever the case may be, not every fucking couple hours, not every single day. Review it at the end of your little sprints and then adjust and keep going forward. For example, the 11-week challenge. I recommend that they weigh in every single week so we can adjust the game plan. But some people will weigh in at week 4, at week 8, and then the last week. And it's like, okay, that's on you. I'm not going to force you to weigh in, but I definitely keep trying to get them to, so that you get to see those little mini milestones, so we can make adjustments, right? Not every time that you do a check-in is it going to be good results, and that's okay. Doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you need to adjust the game plan, right? That's how you get traction, though. It's simple, measured and repeated. So to wrap this random brain thought up, I mean, it's already 11:30 at night when I'm recording this right now. But I want to close this clean, right? You can't give 50% effort and expect 100% of the results. It's just the truth, right? And if you are behind right now, good. Now you get to be that comeback story. Now you get to prove to yourself that you can stick to it. Now stop acting like you're behind. Now stop acting like being behind means that you're already beat or defeated, because it doesn't. The deadline is not done until the deadline is done. Use that time as motivation, as momentum. So I challenge you today, right, to pick one area that you are behind, whether it's in your fitness, your business, sales, content, finances, whatever the case may be, and then do the 3 things, right? Tell your truth about the gap, build a, let's say a weekly or bi-weekly sprint plan, and then follow it without negotiation. No half in, no half-ass effort, no emotional quitting in the middle, because you only get out what you put in. And if you want the results, respect the work. I hope this helped you guys. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. I appreciate you guys. I love y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slack.